Asher and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with
Mike Scott of the Waterboys.
Nice, here at Bourbon and Beyond.
That's correct, yes, on a very hot day.
A very hot day.
Yeah.
How you like the drip bar, though? That's pretty cool to have.
The drip bar, is that
Yeah,
where we are?
just-
Yeah, okay, and it's got shade, so we're all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's where you got that drink there, all those cool drinks up there.
Yeah.
So, how have you been treated so far at Bourbon Beyond? How does Danny Wimmer treat his artists?
We seem to be all right. There was a bit of an upset about everybody having to move their shows 2 hours forward, and then they get moved back 1 hour forward. I think maybe there was some big artist was a bit insecure about his audience numbers and wanted no competition. That's my guess. But anyway, it seems to all have been semi-resolved, and we played at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was okay. And everybody's been very nice. I wish the sets were longer.
Right?
It would be wonderful, because we're just beginning to cook it half an hour, and then it's the end. And I wish it was 45 or 60 minutes, and I got a feeling the audience would have liked that too.
Absolutely. And the audience loved it as it was. They probably would have wanted to have you play all day.
Well, that's the theory, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And, man, you're still so busy after doing this all these years. You put out an album this year.
Yeah.
And you're
Life,
putting
Death,
out
yeah.
another album this year.
Yeah, well, they're both part of the same project, really. The album that's already out is Life, Death, and Dennis Hopper. It's the life story of Dennis, told through songs. And the one that's coming in November is called Rips from the Cutting Room Floor. And it's all the funny, some of them very comedic extras that we recorded during the album that didn't quite fit on the main album for one reason or another.
See, I love those best sometimes because they're so real.
Me too. You know, Dennis did a lot of adverts late in his career, and he always brought a real style to them, and that makes them very easy to spoof. And I did 2 spoof Dennis Hopper adverts, audio only, but they're on the bonus album that's coming in November.
Okay, you're going to love this story, all right? Going back to the 80s. Remember Dennis Hopper had his drug problem and he was in a hospital.
Yeah.
Well, my dad had a drug problem and ended up his roommate at that same hospital.
Whoa.
Like, what a trip, right?
Wow. For how long?
Well, my dad got out in 72 hours because he tricked them. He was Baker acted, and then he somehow came to his senses for long enough to let them know he should let them out.
Okay.
He shouldn't have been let out yet.
All right.
That I could tell you. But he always used to talk about, my bunkie was Dennis Hopper.
What a privilege to have shared that space with Dennis Hopper.
Right,
Yeah.
right, you know?
Yeah,
And
what a trip.
So when I saw that in your album, I'm like, that's the funniest crap ever.
Yeah.
The connection
Yeah.
right there. And the song that's released as the first song released on the one coming in December.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's such a good song.
Is that the next time I saw Elvis?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
tell me a little bit about, is there a story behind that?
Yeah, it's a story that Dennis often used to tell about meeting Elvis in Hollywood in the late 50s. See, Elvis was a huge James Dean fan. And by the time Elvis got to Hollywood, James Dean had died. But Dennis, being Dean's protege and pal, was the next best thing. So Elvis went to Dennis for some advice about making movies. And Elvis had just seen his first movie script, and it called on him to punch a woman. And he was really freaked out about this. He never struck a woman before. And Dennis said, well, don't worry, man. You don't have to really hit her. You just make it look like you hit her. And then they add a sound effect, and everybody watching the cinema believes you've hit her, but you haven't really. And Elvis was really mad at Dennis because he thought the movies were real.
Wow.
So Dennis had spoiled his illusion. So
That's pretty wild. Now, you said something else, too, that struck a connection again. My first name is Dean, and I was named after James Dean.
oh, you lucky man.
Like, it's so wild, the world we live in, and this whole big world,
Yeah.
and we could sit here at Bourbon Beyond and have connections
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
without ever even meeting.
Yeah.
So, the world is a very cool place in that
A
respect.
small, cool place, yes.
How does it feel
Yes, indeed.
performing music after all these years? Like, you've been doing it forever.
It feels great to me, Dean. I'm 66 years old. I started when I was about 16 in the mid-70s with my first bands. I've been a professional musician since 1979. I still love doing it. I feel that I get better. I don't have quite the same energy that I had when I was in my 20s, but I've learned how to use my energy much better than that guy.
There you go.
And my voice is stronger, and my songwriting powers are greater, and my band is better. So I think that's how it should be.
That is definitely exactly how it should be. I was thinking yesterday I was watching Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
Which was like a dream for me because I was a Beatles freak, but I also started playing drums because of Ringo Starr.
Okay.
And I looked at this amazing musician who's in his mid-80s.
Yeah.
Doing jumping jacks on stage and running around.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm like him when I grow
Yeah.
up.
Well, his generation, the first 60s rock and rollers to get to that age, have shown us a different way to age, I think.
Yeah. Like
Mick
even
Jagger
look at
as well.
Look at Keith Richards, whoever figured.
Yeah.
And look, he's still going strong.
Yes.
And like you said, Mick Jagger, going
Yeah.
strong.
Mick Jagger can still do all those moves.
Is that amazing
Yeah.
or what? Like, and you're here, and you're still doing all the moves.
Yeah.
And so it gives all the rest of us hope. And I'm not much below you. I'm not much below you either.
Yeah.
In age. But, I think it's a state of mind. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 58. My grandkids can't keep up with me.
Okay.
And people I'm here with, they're like, ugh, we can't keep up with them. I think it's a state of mind. It's not a number.
Yeah. I think that's right.
And loving life.
Yeah. And I also had children late in life. My daughter was born when I was 54, my son when I was 57. And that helps keep me young, and it's helped oil the wheels of my creativity. Because, especially when they were a little bit younger, I'd be constantly making up funny songs and telling them stories. So that I was and I could be called on to do it at any moment. So I was always on. And I noticed that it coincided with a spurt in my songwriting. I'm very grateful for that.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's funny, too. My dad, I was talking about, he had, I don't even remember how old he was, but I have a sister that's 30 yeyears younger than me.
Whoa.
Younger than all four of
Yeah.
my kids.
Yeah.
He was probably around your age that
Yes.
you had your kid.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He was married to my stepmother for 3 years, divorced for 10, had a quadruple bypass. They got back together and he had a kid.
Wow.
Like,
Way to go, Dad.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's starting a new trend, all of you. You
Yeah,
know, like,
yeah.
how does it feel to be a dad at this stage of life? Is it cool or
It's
what?
just fantastic. And I'm kind of glad that I wasn't a dad in my 30s because I'm cooler now and I know more and I'm not screwed up about anything. And so I can impart good stuff to my kids.
I think that makes me think of Ozzy, okay? Because Ozzy, who just passed away, but
Yeah.
how he was as a father with the kids, the later kids, opposed to the earlier kids, total difference.
I never really followed his TV program, but I always got the impression he was a very loving guy.
Oh, totally. And I guess, like, when he was younger, he was too busy with the partying and the whole
Yeah.
lifestyle that he wasn't a parent,
Yeah.
that he had to be an older parent to be a good parent.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know?
Yeah.
And that's what he became, so
Yeah.
that's cool. So, one story, good or bad, in your whole musical career, what would it be?
One story.
Yeah.
I have a funny Bob Dylan story. I met Bob a couple of times in the mid-'80s. He'd heard The Whole of the Moon, one of our early records, and he invited me to a studio in London. It was recorded with Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics. So I was very happy to accept. The message I got was, Bob likes The Whole of the Moon, do you want to come to the studio? So I turned up at the studio with my two band members who were also invited. And there was Bob, and he was very friendly. He had a little kind word for each of us. And at one point, Dave Stewart came over and said, Mike, have you got any tunes that Bob could use? And you see, what they were doing was they were making instrumentals that Bob was going to put lyrics to. So I was saying, well, I've got a few new songs, but I'm not giving them to Bob Dylan. You know, Dylan or no Dylan, they're for the Waterboys. Like We Will Not Be Lovers, which was on the Fisherman's Blues album. That was one that was in my head at the time. I thought, nah, I'm not giving Bob Dylan that. No, I'm keeping that. But I did have one that didn't quite work for me, and it was in this kind of jazz rhythm. So I played it to them at the piano. And Bob came. I played it for about a minute, and Bob came up and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he let down to my ear and he said, "You can keep that one." It was the nicest rejection I've ever had in my life.
Oh my God,
so
that's
sweet.
Great. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So, how you gonna top Bourbon and Beyond? What comes next? You got the new album coming out
Yeah.
on December 5th, but what else is?
Oh, well, we're only halfway through our North American tour. We've got Nashville, Chicago, Minneapolis, Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Phoenix, Santa Fe, Austin, Dallas, and Oklahoma City. Look, I'm a good
my
boy. I know
God.
what they all are.
How the hell did you remember all that?
How indeed? I don't know. I think it's the first time I've ever remembered them all in one.
That was
Yeah.
impressive, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, you are amazing. It's great to have you here at Bourbon and Beyond.
Thank you, Dean.
And is there any final words you want to leave our listeners with?
Just like to say it's such a wonderful privilege to play for North American audiences, because so much of the music that I love, that we love, that has formed modern culture, grew in the melting pot of America. And every city we go to has a different part of that story. And I find it incredibly inspiring to play in those cities with all that heritage, and also to audiences who live and breathe it. And they know exactly what we're saying in the music, and they know when to respond and how to respond. And it's just such a blessing, such a gas to play for a North American audience.
Well, those are great final words. I love hearing that, because we want artists like you to come over and have a good time. And it seems like you are.
I am sure having a good time, yeah.
There it is.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.